Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about my favorite chicken breeds for the perfect chicken flock. Different breeds are going to be good for very different things. So today I'm going over exactly how I structured our flock the way I did, why we chose the breeds that we chose, why we didn't choose some breeds too. By the way, I'm adding a bonus, which is my ultimate chicken breed that I don't have yet. That's at the end, so make sure to stick around for that. Without further ado, I am going to show you two the little babies that we have back here. They are, I think they're like 6 weeks old now. I'll have to double check on that, but you guys have seen them once before, but they have grown quite a bit since then. Oh, I should mention the criteria that I'm gonna be using too to judge the different breeds. The criteria that I'm gonna be using for the best chicken breeds, because it very much is subjective, okay? There is no objective best chicken breed. It depends on what your goals are, so maybe this will help you sort through your goals with your flock. But for me, my goals for the perfect flock are, number one, that they provide us with eggs. Number two, that they are fun. They have a fun factor. I'll go over that more in a bit. Number three factor is going to be survivability. So that's going to be that they're able to take care of themselves on some degree. The less dependent on us, the better. Number four is kind of on that note, but sustainability. So are they able to sustain their own population, or at least help sustain a flock in general? And those are the four factors that I wanted for my flock without necessarily having to go to a hatchery or go to a feed store and replenish our numbers. The idea is that they can produce more chicks themselves. Oh, I should add actually a fifth criteria is also that they're cold hardy. We need our birds all to be cold hardy. So here is breed number one. So this right here is a little black Australorp, and she doesn't love being held. Most chicks don't love being held, if ever, until they're older. Once they start laying, helps a lot. So why did I choose black Australorps? There are a couple of reasons why I wanted to include this breed in my flock. Number one is gonna be producing eggs. So these are our biggest egg producers. So they are kind of like super producers. They are still a heritage breed, so they're not a hybrid. I go into that in separate videos, but they still do breed true. I'm just gonna let her go. She's not into it. The black Australorp still do breed true, but they produce a lot of eggs. And not only do they produce a lot of eggs, but they actually pack quite a bit of meat on their bodies. So I see this as kind of a good mid-grade survival chicken. They produce quite a few eggs, but they're still not one of the hybrid super producers. And those would be like your Icies Browns, your white leghorns, your golden comets, even like cinnamon queens. There are a lot of super producers out there. Nothing against those chickens at all. The reason I personally did not want any of them in my flock is because they tend to be prone to laying issues such as becoming egg bound. They do have a nice feed to egg conversion ratio, but it's in terms of some of the health issues that they seem to be prone to, that's just not something that I wanted in my flock. I know those things can happen in any breed, but I also like the fact that black Australorps do breed true. So if I wanted to breed more black Australorps, as long as I have a black Australorp hen and a black Australorp rooster, I can continue to have this kind of super producing egg variety. The other thing that they check off the list is that they are pretty good at taking care of themselves. Not the best free rangers out there. I'll go over the best pretty soon here, but one thing is that they are black feathered, and that is key because we have found in our experience, and I know other people have mentioned also, black chickens tend to be taken by predators less. Some people think it's because birds of prey may mistake them for crows. Other people think they're just able to blend in better. Whatever the case, black chickens do tend to get taken, especially by aerial predators, less. So they're kind of our super producers, and they are also not super predator attack prone. As a bonus, they do pack on quite a bit of meat, which can actually be a downside when you think of the fact that that means they're taking in more feed, but that's why I chose that breed, number one. And the black Australorps have shorter combs. They're not super short, but they're pretty darn cold hardy. So I checked 3 of those, I think it was 5 criteria now, that I wanted. Now regarding personality is a really interesting one. A lot of people say they want a chicken that's quiet, or they want a chicken that has a really sweet personality. There are some similarities in breeds, but here's the reason why personality is not first on my list. Because personality is so heavily affected by 2 things. Number one is bloodlines. So if the chick had really friendly, nice parents, that means that the chick is just gonna be more prone to being friendly. And yes, this can run in breeds, but it can vary widely between the strains of the bird. So for example, these black Australorps, even though they're peepee right now because they don't like to be held, we've actually noticed they've been extremely friendly to us which is night and day from our last black Australorp flock, which wanted nothing to do with us. They were extremely flighty. So it really just depends on the strain. They're from 2 different hatcheries, which would explain that. The other thing is nature versus nurture. So much of it has to do with how you raise birds. Anytime you hear someone talk about a personality of a breed on a video, you can go read the comments and people will be saying that their experience was the opposite, which is also because not only is it dependent on the strain, but it also depends on how you raise the bird. So personality is not one of my criteria because number one, it's not super important on my list, but also because breed isn't going to be a great indicator. It may have tendencies in one direction or the other, but it's not going to be foolproof by any stretch, unless you're talking really extreme like game birds versus like Orpingtons, obviously, then there's going to be a difference there. But that's why I'm not going too much into personality. If we want friendly chickens, which we always do on friendly chickens, it's easier to have chickens that like being handled. We always use the GrubTerra. GrubTerra did partner with us on today's video. We always just throw the chickens a couple handfuls of GrubTerra whenever we go see them, and they run to us. They are so friendly every single time. We've been doing it since they were just a few weeks old. Those chicks really become friendly so fast because of that consistency. We're not giving them, you know, food scraps from our kitchen every 1 in 3 times that we go out. It's literally every time we open their door, we throw them a handful of grubs, and that means that they very, very quickly associate us with very good things. You guys can use our discount code OAKABODE for 10% off. I linked them for you as usual below. But as far as personality goes, when choosing a chicken breed, those are a few of the reasons why it's just not on my list of reasons that I'm going to choose a breed or not choose a breed. All right, chicken breed number 2 that I chose is a Maran. So the Marans, this is a Wheaten Maran, and I got my Marans as a pack, like a multi-pack. So the Marans, I'm gonna be honest with you, they check off mainly the fun box for me. They are kind of a fun bird, especially anytime you get like a multi-pack. It's just fun to watch them grow up and kind of guess what they become. Not only are they pretty, but they also they tend to lay really dark eggs. This is again a French Wheaten Maran. I've had the black copper Marans, and I have back there some French cuckoo Marans, and then just some regular cuckoo Marans. So very slight differences between them. 2 ways they check off the fun boxes. Number 1, they're fun to watch feather out. Number 2, they tend to pack some more meat on their bodies, so if we do need a meat bird, it's an option. Another bonus is that they can grow broody. They're not necessarily known for going broody, but that kind of checks off that sustainability mark too. But I just think Marans are so fun. I've had them for years now. I've pretty much never not had some kind of Maran in my flock. So yeah, I think there's a lot of reasons to keep them, and they do tend to be pretty sweet in my experience, on the sweeter side of birds. They have these cute little feathered legs here too, so that's fun. So full transparency, they're mainly just a fun bird for me. You can see actually quite a difference between this one and the Australorp. The bigger bodied birds tend to be a little more laid back. The last one didn't stop screaming, but you can see she's already actually realizing she quite enjoys being held, even though we very seldom pick up our birds. A couple more bonuses to the Marans is that they do breed true. They're a heritage breed. They are also pretty darn decent egg producers. So they check that box for us, not as much as the black Australorps, but there are a ton of breeds that don't lay anywhere as near as many eggs as they do, but also they produce, in my experience, very large eggs. So they're not always labeled as the biggest egg producers, but again, in my experience, their eggs are a really good size. So as far as criteria on my list, these breeds are fun and they are good egg producers, and then they're also a heritage breed and some other bonuses. And they have the fun factor. There's always that. Okay, the number 3 breed that I got is an Orpington. So English Orpington specifically, and I'll go into why. You guys probably remember Rupert. I'm hoping it's a rooster. You guys might remember him from the Pasty Butt video he starred in. He's looking pretty good these days. So the main reason that I got Orpingtons is I want chickens who are gonna be able to raise chicks. And Orpingtons are notorious for going broody and for being pretty darn good moms. They don't necessarily have to just raise their own chicks. If I wanted a really hands-off breeding program, for example, as long as I have a rooster and a hen of any of the other breeds like the black Australorps or the Marans, any other heritage breeds, then I could just have a broody Orpington and she would take care of those chicks just like she laid the eggs herself. So the Orpingtons are mainly checking off the sustainability box for me. Now I will say my Orpingtons are English Orpingtons, so this is a little bit of an experiment because I haven't raised chicks with English Orpingtons before. I do know the buff Orpingtons tend to grow broody for sure. The reason that I chose English Orpingtons instead of buff Orpingtons is because they are just more fun to me. Not that there's anything wrong with buff Orpingtons, but I personally love a mystery factor, so I got a multi-pack of English Orpingtons of varying colors, and we've been able to watch them grow up and kind of guess the colors they're going to become. We have all different colors. Actually, I'm going to grab another one right now. This is Indy. She is one of our few chickens with a name because she tends to be very friendly, but she has this really pretty kind of blue laced pattern. I think it's just called a blue, but she is really pretty and she's really, really sweet. So the reason I added Orpingtons to this flock is because they increase the flock's level of sustainability. If I don't have a brooder, if potentially there's no electricity, as long as I have a broody hen, we can continue hatching out those chicks. And then also because they check that fun factor, they are just really pretty, they're really fluffy, really cute. So the kind of my criteria was that each breed I chose had to check off at least 2 of those boxes. So I've had a lot of fun with the English Orpingtons. You know, I did a video like this in the past. I'm just gonna let her go. And it was funny how many people got upset at my criteria, but these are my criteria. They're what matter to me. I enjoy having fun chickens. I absolutely want chickens that are going to be helpful and useful if we ever need them to be in like a supply chain disruption type scenario. But in most cases, we're just living a life that's not that scenario. And so in my opinion, what fun is it having chickens that you don't think is fun? The other thing about the Marans is they lay really fun eggs. They tend to be either really dark or speckled. And that's another benefit in the fun arena. I love picking up pretty eggs. It matters to me and have a lot of fun with it. So if you're not in a scenario where you can't get eggs or where you can't get food, then you might as well have chickens that are some fun too. So for me, it's about having the best of both worlds. As far as cold hardiness goes, Orpingtons are also very cold hardy. So enough of them. I'll show you guys the last breed, and then I have a whole another breed that I actually don't have yet. That is the one I'm most excited about. So make sure you stick around for that one. Okay, right here I have a little Welsummer. She is very cute. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, she checks mainly the fun box. So the reason I chose Welsummers, I have 3 of them, is number 1, they check the fun box because they lay really fun speckled eggs. So they are just really fun to collect. What I found also is that they are really good layers. So they also check the egg production box. I don't know what it is, but any Welsummer we've ever had, we've had them from multiple different hatcheries. They have always been some of our best layers. They lay a large egg in my experience, and they lay really consistently. Another bonus is that they are a heritage breed. So while there are some hybrids with similar, like, I guess, egg laying properties and that have really fun colors of eggs, the Welsummers are a heritage breed. So if I have a Welsummer rooster and a Welsummer hen, they will breed more Welsummers in the future, unlike the hybrids, which you never really know what you're gonna get. Honestly, Welsummers have always been some of my favorite in the flock. They tend to be kind of middle of the road, consistent personalities. They're not the friendliest in the flock, but I've never had them be super flighty either. So yeah, they've always been some of my favorites, and along with the Marans, they're probably something that I will always like to have in my flock. You've been so sweet that I'm just gonna let you go, even though you're not complaining. I really appreciate it. So those were the breeds that I chose for my criteria, which are that they have good egg laying ability, they offer some kind of fun factor or some sort of mystery, whether it's the coloring or the eggshell color. One in particular I chose because they are known for being good mothers and hatching chicks. Sorry, I'm watching Indy over there, one of our Orpingtons, has a long piece of grass she can't get out of her mouth. I'm gonna go help her out. And finally, I chose all birds that have pretty high survivability odds. You'll notice I don't have, actually, that's not true. Rupert is our only chicken who is brightly colored. We tend to see those chickens get picked off by hawks more, and that just was chance that he ended up being that color. So we'll see how he does. I'm hoping because he's a rooster that he won't be picked off, but other than that, I didn't choose any chickens that are known for being colored really brightly. These guys are gonna have a little easier time blending in, or they're even just straight black, which we've never had a black chicken get picked off by an aerial predator so far. And of course, they're all cold hardy. None of them have crazy long cones. I really wanted some of those Ancona. I think those are super cool, but their combs are just too long for our environment. They'll get frostbitten, so I passed on those. Now you will notice that I have mixed chicken breeds, which if you've been paying attention is because No one breed that I've been able to find checks every single box, is a good mother and also lays a lot of eggs and is, you know, cold hardy, all the things, and offers some sort of fun factor. All the things that I'm looking for. I hadn't been able to find one breed that fits that description until now. So the breed that I have found recently is not even actually a breed. I know people get really worked up about that. Technically it's called a Landris or a Landris. Basically there's no standard of what it has to look like, but if you are familiar with that term, you probably know where I'm going with this, and that is the Icelandic chickens, or the Icies, are really popular in the homesteading community, and that is because they offer pretty darn good egg laying abilities. They're not going to be like any of those hybrids, but if you're homesteading, you're probably not going to be interested in the super producing hybrids anyway, especially if you are concerned about being sustainable. The Icelandic chickens are known for being amazing mothers, raising their chicks really well, and people who have them tend to say that they end up with so many chicks, they're like trying to give them away to people. So they're very sustainable. Number 3, they have a really cool fun factor, which is that they come in all different colors. Not only are they really cute with their little mohawks, but they come in all different colors. Because there's no breed standard, they have extremely high genetic diversity, which is another bonus, which I didn't even mention, but animals with higher genetic diversity tend to be generally healthier. I know that's gonna make some people upset, but it's facts, and if you care about having a specific breed, of course, you're gonna have to sacrifice some of that genetic diversity to maintain characteristics. So the nice thing about the Icies is that they have very high genetic diversity, which means they're very colorful and fun looking, and also they tend to be very hardy. They are also very cold hardy, so that's a huge plus. And they are also known for being really good at evading predators. That's that survivability factor again. They tend to be really good foragers and free rangers, which is really big for us. I've been kind of disappointed in just how, I guess, commercialized chicken breeds have become and how dependent on feed that they have become. And it's fine when you can buy feed at the store, and you know, we grow a bit of feed ourselves too, but if you don't have feed, then that's obviously a problem. So I have heard that Icies are not generally the best breed. I know people are gonna get mad about it. Who cares? I know that Icies are not generally the best choice for people who live necessarily in the suburbs or don't have a lot of land, because they do tend to be, from what I've heard, a little more flighty. They like to spread out, they like to fly, they like to free range. So if you're in a suburban or urban chicken keeping situation, maybe they're not the best choice. Now, a few downsides. One of the downsides is that they are so good at surviving on their own that they tend to hide their eggs if you let them free range, is what I've heard. They want to hide their eggs because they want to hatch those babies. So that's something to be aware of. But then also, they're a little bit difficult to come by, and because there's no necessarily breed standard, it's hard for people to know if they're getting the real deal Iceland chicken or not. So that's not something that inhibits me. I'm planning on getting some in probably the spring. What would be really cool is if one of my Orpingtons goes broody, then I'm gonna try probably putting some fertile hatching eggs under her. But if not, I may, especially since they're kind of expensive, I may just get one of those incubators. I know, it's crazy. I still haven't done the incubating thing, mainly because I've heard it's very fun and addictive, and I know how much I'm gonna love doing it and probably struggle to stop. You know, but my plan is to incorporate those Icelandic chickens sometime next year, and I will report back to you guys on how they stack up against kind of these more, I don't know, standardized or domesticated breeds, I guess. So we shall see. The biggest thing that you can do if you're trying to decide what chicken breed to get is just to know your goals. So if you want, you can write down a list of what you are looking for in chickens. Some people do just want a ton of eggs for a year or two with those super producers, and then they want to be done. That's totally fine if that's you, especially if you're somebody who wants to sell eggs and like profit off of it, then you might want to be looking at some of those more super producers. But since we're more on the homesteading side of things, we want more well-rounded birds and a more well-rounded flock, and so this is how we've structured ours. I always love to hear how other people do their flocks, so please leave a comment below with how you structured your flock. What are the things that you look for in chickens, and what are the chickens you have found that are really good for those things, but also maybe some of the chickens that you have found are not necessarily worth getting again with your goals, in your opinion. Thanks for watching today, and we will see you next time.